Hi Krishna. Yesterday we heard three types of bhaktis. Like the first two are Arop Siddha Bhakti and Sang Siddha Bhakti. Arop Siddha Bhakti is where we impose bhakti, but it's not bhakti. That's called Arop Siddha Bhakti, where Sang Siddha Bhakti, which is actually in reality not bhakti, and nor it's Anukulina Krishna Anushilanam. Yes, it supports bhakti. It's associated the qualities, showing compassion to others, maitri bhav, being compassionate, being very quiet, calm, and performing austerities. All these are good qualities. They support bhakti. When yesterday when we was hearing all these points, one verse came in my mind. I did not say it. That shlok, that verse is, if there is a very beautiful female or an handsome man and they are dead, means they have no soul and their body is just lying on their dead body. Their earrings, their bangles, and a necklace in her neck around her neck, and will all this look nice on her body, on a body of a dead female? On a dead female body, all these ornaments, alankar ornaments, if you decorate her with all these ornaments, will her body look pretty? No. But on a living body, all these ornaments, jewelry we offer, we wear, then they look beautiful on a living body. That's why it is said bhagavad bhakti. If you minus Bhagavan's Lord's bhakti, devotion, and you have all good qualities, all these qualities like compassionate, performing austerities, being very quiet and calm, respecting others, to tolerate summer heat and cold, being non-violent, being remaining always purified. All these good qualities you have, but if you do not have Bhagavad Bhakti, means devotion to Lord Sri Hari, then Mandalam, this verse which Gurudev just said, then these qualities will be just like a dead body having ornaments on that body. But if along with bhakti we have all these good qualities, then this becomes special. These qualities become special along with bhakti. Our Gurudev used to give an example. If one person has all these qualities but he has no bhakti, no devotion, and on the other hand, another person, he has bhakti but he doesn't have such good qualities, then who is more superior, who is more better? One person has all qualities but he does not perform bhajan, bhakti, and other person, like say bhakt bhi, that bhakt, he does bhakti but he has no such qualities, or maybe he has one or few qualities, one or two, but not all. So who is better, who is superior? That person will be superior who performs Bhagavad Bhakti, who all these qualities are one side, and on the other side is Bhagavad Bhakti, devotion to Hari. That side is heavier. That is why this is an eye-opening siddhant for all of us. Just seeing material good qualities in a material person, we think he is a devotee. He is such a good person. He is concerned for others. He is a social worker. Social worker is good, but he does not do bhakti. Does he do bhakti? Krishna is to Bhagwan Swam. Does he accept Krishna as Lord? Does he chant the holy names? Does he perform Ekadashi fasting? Does he do Gayatri Mantra? Does he hear Bhagavatam? No, he does not do all this, but otherwise he is a good person. Otherwise he is a good person. What's the point? Still that person is zero. And if some person who does Bhagavad Bhakti, but he has faults, but he is not zero, he is a devotee. So we people also, we should see in our character if we are we doing Sang Siddha Bhakti, or are we following Arop Siddha Bhakti? And third point was Sarup Siddha Bhakti. In reality, Sarup Siddha Bhakti is real bhakti. The symptom of that Sarup Siddha Bhakti is when all your desires are only for Krishna's service. All of our desires are only for Krishna's service. In that bhakti, jnana and karma, bhakti is free from jnana and karma. Not bhakti is uncovered from jnana and karma. And for Bhagwan's priti, love and affection, that person hears Hari Katha, chants holy name, Shravan Kirtanam Smarnam. This all is called Sarup Siddha Bhakti. This is Sarup Siddha Bhakti. Sarup Siddha Bhakti means hearing, chanting, hearing, remembering, or efforts which we make to perform chanting, hearing, and remembering. All those efforts can be called Sarup Siddha Bhakti when they are for Krishna's pleasure and happiness and satisfaction. But if conditions are there with this, Anya Abhilashita Shunyam, there should not be any other desire in our mind, and that bhakti should not be covered with jnana and karma. Then this can be Sarup Siddha Bhakti. There should not be any mixture of jnana and karma. And third point is that bhakti is anukulamay. Krishna Rojmana Pravritti. For the pleasure of Krishna, and it should be favorable for Krishna. So this is Sarup Siddha Bhakti. So in if we perform these activities along the day, we perform Sarup Siddha all around the day. This is original bhakti, actual bhakti. Sarup Siddha Bhakti is original bhakti. And uh, without any obstacle, Vivdhan Rahit, there should not be any obstacle. It should be for Krishna. In, it should be it should be related to Krishna by body, mind, and words. So we should do what we should do Sarup Siddha Bhakti, or we should do Sang Siddha Bhakti. So whatever Harikatha we hear, when we chant the holy names, we read the script Grantha, we worship Tulsi Ji, we do Aarti of Thakur Ji, This is Sarup Siddha Bhakti, direct Sarup Siddha Bhakti. This is direct bhakti actually, Sarup Siddha Bhakti. And that is why in the Rai Ramanan Samvad of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit, it's another Granth. We will hear it some other time. It's a very beautiful Granth. Rai Ramanan Samvad. Uh, when Mahaprabhu met Sri Rai Ramanand Rai at the banks of Godavari in South India, there one conversation took place between both of them, between Mahaprabhu and Rai Ramanand. There was a conversation which took place. That Samvad, in that conversation, Arop Siddha Bhakti and Sangha Siddha Bhakti were said as external. Sri Rai Ramanand Rai ji said, sorry, Sri Mahaprabhu said, he said, Sri Rai Ramanand Rai mentioned, said something about Arop Siddha Bhakti and Sang Siddha Bhakti. So Mahaprabhu said, Eho Bhajye, means this is external. You speak further. If there is something more better than this, then you speak on that. This is Bhaiye. This is external. You speak further. So Mahaprabhu also rejected or did not accept them as should not accept Arop Siddha Bhakti and Sang Siddha Bhakti as Shuddha Bhakti. He, when it if you are reading that Granth, one day we will read that Granth on Zoom. It's a very beautiful book. Mahaprabhu reject many things. Mahaprabhu said external, external, external. This is not bhakti. This is not bhakti. This is not bhakti. From Sarv Dharma Partajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tam Papebhyo Mokshami Masucha. It's a very famous shlok from Gita ji, Bhagavad Gita. This means that you abandon all the religions and you take my shelter. I will free you from all sins. Sri Krishna says this in Bhagavad Gita. And it's a very famous, prominent, important verse of Bhagavad Gita. Mahaprabhu said, Eho Bhajya, this is external. To such a big verse, Mahaprabhu said, this is external. Why? Here, Hari Toshanam, Sri Hari's satisfaction. What is written for Sri Hari's satisfaction? Bhagwan said, abandon all the religions and take my shelter. This is just an instruction. But what you did then? In this verse, nothing is written about Krishna's satisfaction and pleasure and happiness. This is called external. Bhaiye means external. Then Mahaprabhu said, Aage kaho aar, means you speak further. So from where Mahaprabhu sanctioned? Jnanam, those who have rejected the path of karma and jnana, threw it very far away from them. The path of jnana and karma, rejection, rejected, karma and jnana. One living sadhu, advanced living devotee, you sit at his lotus feet and you hear from him. You go near that sadhu and you hear the Vani of Bhagwan. So, where the Harikatha is spoken of Bhagwan, that means Bhagwan's Bhagwan's Katha and Bhagwan. There's no difference between Krishna and his Harikatha. There's no difference between Bhagwan, his Katha, and his Seva. 1 hour what we are hearing on Zoom, this is direct service of Sri Hari, Bhagwan Sri Hari. Direct. Don't think that only massaging lotus feet of Krishna is service. Even hearing Hari Katha and speaking Hari Katha is called Surup Siddha Bhakti. It's a direct service of Bhagwan Sri Hari. Sthane Sthita Shruti Garam means Sthane Sthite means you stay at your own place. It has many meanings. Means your ashram. Sthanisthiti means your ashram, your brahmacharya, vanaprastha, grihastha, sannyas. But main point is sitting at the lotus feet of Sri Guru, and Bhagwan's Varta to hear Hari Katha by sitting at the lotus feet of Sri Guru. Then what happens? That Bhagwan who is Ajit, no one can win him. He is unconquerable. Nobody can win him. That Krishna can be won easily. You can easily control him, you can easily attain him. Here Mahaprabhu said, Eho, yes, this is good point. So from here Mahaprabhu started saying yes, not rejected. Because Mahaprabhu will only, he cannot stamp points so easily. He cannot sanction something so easily. Sarvdharman Prahitajya, even for this verse Mahaprabhu said it's external. So we need to analyze this. But where Rai Ramananji said about Hari Katha, Mahaprabhu said, this is good. From here it starts. But from here bhakti starts. Which bhakti? Sarup Siddha bhakti starts from here. So that's why we can understand how significant is Sarup Siddha bhakti. So you can understand, check yourself in which kind of bhakti we are stuck. Are we thinking Sanksiddha bhakti is real bhakti? Are we taking Arop Siddha bhakti as real bhakti? This is what we need to understand. What Guru Mantra we jap like Gayatri on our fingers, Harinam, Harikatha, hearing Harikatha, doing Archan, this is Sarup Siddha bhakti. If you take shower 10 times a day, it's not relevant. You ate 3 times, 2 times, that is irrelevant. You did not eat anything on Ekadashi and you slept all day. Is that bhakti? Or you ate on Ekadashi 3 times a day, but you chanted 32 rounds. 2 hours you heard Bhagavatam. 1 hour you also heard Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is bhakti. That is why this we need to understand properly. Sarup Siddha Bhakti, Gyan Karmadya Anavritam. That bhakti which is not covered by Gyan and Karma. Karma there, what does it mean? Karma means smarth. Smriti Shastra, different Nitya Naimatik karmas mentioned in Smriti Shastra. Those are forbidden. Those are forbidden. Um, Someone can say this Pandit told me this some Pandit from some temple told me to some karmas from scriptures. Yes, he spoke from scriptures, but which scriptures? Smriti Shastra or Smart Shastra. Their goal is to attain heaven. That's it. Not beyond heaven. Attaining heaven is not our goal. That is why in Puranas, Shri Ved Vyasdev has mentioned many such things. That is why it is said those Puranas have mal, contamination. Mal means contamination. Those Puranas have contamination. Which kind of contamination those Puranas have? All you do these karmas of smart vidhi, you will get a son. You will get married. You will get a nice job. You will get money. You will become rich and you will get heaven. Dharam, earth, kam, moksha means economic development, liberation, sense gratification, and dharma, lower dharma. But in Bhagavatam, Shrimad Bhagavatam is called as Amal Puran. Amal Puran, which has no mal, no contamination. In that Bhagavatam, it is described about Sarup Siddha Bhakti in Bhagavatam. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Sarup Siddha Bhakti is only mentioned as Bhakti. So that hearing Bhagavatam is Sarup Siddha Bhakti. In Srimad Bhagavatam, just by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam or taking a vow that I will hear Srimad Bhagavatam, this is Sarup Siddha Bhakti. That's why Dharam Prochit Kaitav. Kaitav means cheating, chal, kapat, hypocrisy, duplicity. In Bhagavatam, nothing, no no cheating is mentioned in Bhagavatam. Karmisha Bhakti is cheating. In Bhagavatam, nothing is mentioned about it. Where smart vidhi is followed, where Smriti Shastras, naimatic karmas are followed. Nitya naimatic karmas. As per Smriti Shastra, they are an obstacle in the path of our bhakti. Do not take this as bhakti. They are obstacles, not favorable for our bhakti. And Karam Gyan Mishra Bhakti. That bhakti which has mixture of gyan and karma. All these you throw one side, all these kinds of bhaktis, because these are not pure bhaktis. They are like how when you have a garden, and there's a very nice red rose in your garden, and there's some wild weed around that rose plant in your garden. Where is that beautiful grass which is eaten by crow? And on the other hand, wild grass which cow does not eat. They look same. Or now these days we have grass carpets. You cannot understand whether they are real or they are artificial. So they are like carpets. I went to someone's house. It was shining grass. I was like, wow, you maintain it so well. He said, no, Maharaj, this is just carpet. This is artificial. So I touched. This looks like grass, shining, but it is plastic. I said, how many times you water this grass? From where you get such nice, neat and clean grass? He said, no water required. Then how is it called grass? This is artificial, Maharaj, but looks like grass. You must have seen it at the airport. So from this we can understand all that is Sang Siddha Bhakti and Arop Siddha Bhakti. They might look like Bhakti, but they are not Bhakti. And Surup Siddha Bhakti is in reality Bhakti. So Karam Mishra and Gyan Mishra Bhakti are forbidden, prohibited. But we should not get confused. Karma means what? If we are eating food, that's also karma. We are sleeping, that's karma. We are taking shower, that is karma. If we are walking, going somewhere, that is also karma. It's an activity. So all karmas are forbidden. Then how can we live? Then how can we survive? If we do not do karma, what will we do? Which karma? Which karma are okay, supportive to bhakti? Which are those karmas? Which are supportive, supporting bhakti for the service of Bhagwan? Okay, we need examples for this. You go to the market to buy mangoes. This is also a karma. You take a bag, you will get some money in your pocket, and dollars, euros, card. You will reach the shop, and inside the shop you will you will filter the mangoes. This is also karma. But for whom we are doing these karmas? When I come home, I will get a nice mango to eat. At least I will eat 2 4 mangoes. This karma is for ourselves. But I'll bring mangoes. I'm buying mangoes because today's Ekadashi. Or today I must give offer mango or jamun to Krishna because it's seasonal. They are seasonal fruits. So these karmas are seva rupi karma. They are not unfavorable to bhakti because we are doing these actions for Krishna's pleasure. That's because bhajaniye pariche seva. For Krishna's bhajan, whatever seva we do, those karmas, they are not varjaniya. Varjaniya means prohibited. They are not prohibited. For Krishna's, they are not taboo, basically. Those karmas which are, but those karmas, those activities which we do so that I get heaven or I get some personal benefit, all these karmas are very, very, very much unfavorable for bhakti. So be careful while doing bhakti. You do not get these wild grass in your bhakti. If they are coming, then you just cut them off and throw them away. Here karma also means unwanted desires which have no connection with bhakti, no connection with Krishna bhakti. Unwanted desires, they are like wild grass. Uproot them and throw them away. Gyan karmadya anavritam. Gyan karmadya anavritam. Bhakti should not be covered with gyan and karma. Then why it is said adi? Gyan karma adi. What is this? Adi here means what? In this verse. Falgu vairagya. Artificial renunciation like a monkey. Externally showing renunciation and internally having desires. And Ashtan Yog, Sankhya Yog, and Alasya, laziness. Who will chant Harinam? I will do tomorrow. It's like 10 p.m. Maharaj, Harikatha is not ending. I have to sleep as well. Okay, I'll hear Harikatha tomorrow. What's the big deal? This is called laziness. So all these comes in that word Adi. So all these are prohibited. Prohibited. Falgu Viragesh, Shankero, Ashtan Yoga is like you keep your one hand in the air and you stand on one leg and you make different poses. So this is Ashtan Yoga. So all these are not allowed in bhakti. Here we need to pay attention to one more point in the verse. Gyan karmati anavritam. This word anavrit, this word anavrit means covered. It's not mentioned gyan karmati shunyam, zero. So far we whatever we heard on this verse, we are still hearing on the same verse, anya bilashita shunyam, freeing, becoming all free, zero from all material desires. So in the second line they should have written gyan karmati shunyam. In bhakti there's no need of gyan and karma, but it's not written like that, gyan karmati shunyam. But there it's not written shunyam, but it's written anavritam. Because if karma and gyan, we become zero. So making karma zero means you can't do anything. Even if you're not doing anything, that's also another karma. If I'm just sitting quiet, I'm not doing anything, this is also karma. Why are you sitting? Even sitting is a karma. Just sitting on a chair is a karma. So you can't live without karma. You karmas can never become shunya or zero. That's why the word used here is not shunyam but anavritam. Bhakti should not be covered with gyan and karma. And even for gyan, it is not said shunyam. That who is Bhagwan, who are living entities, even this knowledge would not be required. But if we would not know who we are, who is Bhagwan, how can we advance in bhakti? So gyan cannot be zero. That's why here it is not said gyan shunyam. Gyan karmadi shunyam, no. Gyan karmadi anavritam should not be covered. If karma and gyan become shunya, you can't do bhakti, because even eating food is bhakti, is an activity. Having prasad is bhakti. If you don't have prasad, how will you live? So anya bhrashta shunyam, gyan karmadi anavritam. Gyan and karma cannot be zero, but they should not be covered. They should not be covering bhakti, gyan and karma. We need gyan which is bhakti poshak, which nourishes bhakti. That gyan which covers bhakti, that gyan and karma are prohibited. They are nishedh, prohibited. But that gyan and karma which nourishes bhakti, which helps us to serve in bhakti, this kind of knowledge, gyan, is not nishedh, is not prohibited. This is essential. We need that kind of knowledge, because if karma and gyan becomes shunya, sadhak cannot live. I need to drink water. This is also another karma. Then you can't even drink water if karma becomes shunya. That's why here it is not said gyan karmade shunyam. They cannot be shunyam. It is said gyan karmade anavritam. And further, here everything is said about bhakti, PhD in bhakti. Complete analysis of bhakti is mentioned here, so that we can understand that am I doing Shuddh Bhakti or am I doing mixture of Bhakti? What kind of Bhakti am I doing? We can judge ourselves. We can take our test by hearing all these. Because then people say, devotees say, 20 years, it has been 20 years, I did not get anything. I did Bhakti for 20 years. I'm not realizing Bhagwan. I am not understanding that this world is not a real place. Means your bhakti is either artificial or it is being covered, or it is full of unwanted material desires. So desires are getting fulfilled, but bhakti is getting reduced if we have desires. So it, bhakti has two coverings. Number one is on bhakti. There are two blankets. Example in a, so bhakti is covered with two blankets. Like even on us, there are two blankets on top of us. One is gross body, one is subtle body. That's why Shukdev Goswami does not wear clothes. Those who are completely self-realized souls, they do not need clothes, because we already have two dresses. We already have two coverings on our body of gross, this subtle body and gross body. So why we need another blanket? Why we need more clothes? So Shukdev Goswami said one verse. That verse meaning is, did the trees stop giving fruits? Have the rivers, the water in the rivers have dried? And the earth has stopped giving us her our shelter? Shukdev Goswami at such a high stage is speaking all these points. We cannot digest these um, points. Why do you cry for food? The trees do not have fruits. Have the trees stopped giving fruits? Why you are so thirsty? The rivers, the ponds, they have water. They are not dried up. So why are you hankering or suffering for water? And further, Shukdev Goswami says, if someone asks him this question, Shukdev Prabhu, okay, I can survive by eating the fruits from the trees. I can drink the water from the rivers. I need a home, but I need a house. Rainy season, cold season, summer season. I need to be safe from these seasons. So Shukdev Goswami says, so what? You can, the caves in the forest are like not there anymore. There are caves in the forest. They are open caves. In the forest, there are so many caves. You go there, you will be saved from some heat, cold, and rains. But what if Shukdev Goswami, there is a lion in the cave or some snakes in the cave? So Shukdev Goswami said, so Sri Hari has stopped saving the devotees? Has Sri Hari stopped saving the devotees? Shukdev Goswami is speaking these points, from his level actually, because he's completely self-realized, Shukdev Goswami. Because for him, if he eats, not, he doesn't eat, he can survive, he can maintain. If he is drinking water, not drinking water, doesn't matter. And Sri Hari is always with him. But for us, it cannot be like this, for you and me. So sometimes we hear such words, but we need to see, analyze what about us. Our situation is what, our position is what. Because very easily we say, look, Shukdev Goswami spoke like this. Then why you hanker for yourself? Why are you worried for yourself? You have no faith in Hari. Why have you lost your faith from Hari? Shukdev Goswami said in Srimad Bhagavatam, oh my brother, but Shukdev Goswami is at what level? High level. He's so much absorbed, Shukdev Goswami. And we are not absorbed. Where is our absorption? This is called adhikar. As per your adhikar, we should stay. That's good. Once there was a small girl, 6 or 7 years old girl. If she starts speaking like her grandmother, she starts showing oh, you do this, you do this, you do that. Why you came so late? She starts ordering things like instructions to others. Will this look nice? A 6, 7 year old girl in the house. If she acts like a grandmother and she tries to control others, dominates others, this is called anadhikar. You have no such level adhikar. You are crossing your adhikar. And on the other side, um, if there is a very big senior 80 years old grandmother and she acts like a small girl, she starts playing with her toys and she starts jumping from here to there. Will this look nice? No. If Shukdev Goswami would not have spoken these points, it would not look nice, because he will he will definitely speak about Sarup Siddha Bhakti because that's of his level. He cannot speak of something cheap, something of less level. Gurudev, whatever Gurudev would speak, he would speak of as per his level, because he cannot speak about very light subjects. Guru is heavy. As and if we speak like Shukdev Goswami, this is also not good, not correct. That's why in bhakti there are two avran, two coverings. First covering is which covers bhakti. Two such points are there which covers bhakti. One point is the instructions given in the scriptures. Okay, so if I do not do these rules as per the scriptures, like I should do Ekadashi fasting. Oh, I need to fast on Ekadashi. If I do not do Ekadashi fasting, I'll get sins. In the scriptures, it is written daily we should chant the names of Hari first thing in the morning. Start your day with chanting the holy name and end your day by chanting the holy names, because we do not know when we will die and we have not chanted. So even 5 minutes before, we would not know I'm going to die. We hear such examples. We do not know if we are going to die just 5 minutes before. We will be so the day should start with chanting the holy names. And if you do not do this, then I'll get the sins. So I must definitely do this. So this fear, um, out of formality, out of fear, when we do some as per scriptures, then this is not bhakti actually, because we are doing it out of fear. In Smriti Shastras, there are many such points which are given. Um, by doing them, we can get some results. If I do this fire sacrifice, then what will happen by doing such fire sacrifice? My karmas would be means I'll get something in return. I'll get heaven. My ancestors would get delivered. My desires would get fulfilled if I do this fire sacrifice. If we take this as the limb of bhakti, then our bhakti gets covered with karma. On the other hand, those scriptures which speak about Guru Seva, Ekadashi fasting, even doing those limbs of bhakti out of fear, otherwise I'll get sins. Ekadashi fasting, if I miss, I'll get sins. I'll get pap. We do not get trapped in the cycle of pap and punya. The sadhan which we are doing, the harinam which we are doing, the harikatha which we are hearing, like example, some didi or some prabhu or some mataji uh, daily hears harikatha on Zoom. Today she had to go somewhere for some office work outside, and now in her mind she would think, I should reach home on time and I need to hear harikatha, otherwise I'll get sin. So were you hearing harikatha because you wanted to be saved from sins and you want some punya like credits? The katha is not for papa and punya. I want to hear. that what is bhakti, so that I can do bhakti properly and please Krishna. So that I can know what is bhakti and I can please Krishna. This is bhavna. This is the right mood, actually, right feelings. So, so the pure devotees. So, so even for okay, so the pure devotees, just to educate the society, some great senior Vaishnav Acharya or senior Vaishnav, senior devotee, if they did Shraddh for their father, is this Nitya Karma or Naimittik Karma? To perform Shraddh ceremony for your father, raise your hands, Maharaj is saying. Pitra means ancestors. Is this Nitya Dharam? Okay, let's raise our hand. Uh, it's not Nitya Dharma. Nitya means eternal. Okay, Maharaj is asking, is Pitra Shraddh? Pitra means ancestors. Okay, so second point is correct. To do the Shraddh ceremony for your ancestors, they are not eternal karmas. They are not Nitya Dharma. They are temporary dharma. They have no connection with bhakti. You do Shraddh or you do not do Shraddh, it has no connection with bhakti. You did for your ancestors, you did not do this for Krishna. That action which has Bhagwan, actions which have Bhagwan, that is Nitya Dharma. Any action which has my father's satisfaction or ancestors satisfaction, that is Naimittik Dharma. Naimittik means temporary and Nitya means eternal. Srila Vishwanath Chaudhary Thakur, Srila Rupa Goswami, they have spoken such great siddhantas to save our bhakti from going in wrong direction. I should not take something which is not bhakti as bhakti. Grast person can do Pitra Shraddh. A person who is married, who lives in a Grast family, they can do Pitra Shraddh. How can you do it? Shraddhs are just going to come. You make proper bhoga. You offer tulsi with tulsi leaf to Krishna, and with that prasad, you serve Vaishnavas. This is Pitra Shraddh. We can do like this. There's no objection in doing like this. No harm in doing like this. But this cannot be as Nitya Dharma, that by doing Pitta Shraddh, my bhakti in advanced. It has no connection with bhakti. Nitya Dharma is chanting, hearing, remembering. That is direct seva, Sarup Siddha Bhakti. All this Anushtan of Shraddh ceremony of your ancestors, this is temporary. It has no connection with bhakti. You do follow Shraddh ceremony or you do not follow Shraddh ceremony. It has no connection with bhakti. And Shraddh means when once a year we offer food to Brahmanas so that our ancestors' souls is, you know, it comes for 21 days in the month of September, actually, in India, in the month of September. It's called Shraddh. People do not shop during those days. They remain very sattvic in the mode of goodness, and they do not buy car, they do not buy clothes, new clothes. So you're not buying car and clothes. Is this called bhakti? Can you say that I was doing bhakti because, oh, I followed Pitra Paksh very nicely with all rules? This is not bhakti. This is not Nitya Dharam. This is Naimittik Dharam, which is temporary. It's quite, very, very temporary. Naimittik means temporary. But I meet so many such people in India. They do any such anushthan and they think this is bhakti, and all their life they are just doing this and they think this is bhakti. Like every day I feed uh, bread to birds. I feed some seeds to birds. They are also living entities of Krishna. I serve flower to ants under the trees. I also give bread and milk to the dog. They belong to Krishna. They are Krishna's part and parcel. This is not bhakti. This you are just wasting your energy and your money and you're just not getting anything. You are getting mad. Be smart. Do not be a fool. Feeding dog, feeding pigeons and birds. This is not bhakti. Like some person says, Gurudev, where are you? Oh, you are in America. Okay, okay, okay. So uh, I'll come with all my family members to take your darshan in America. This looks like very much bhakti. Why I'm coming to America? To take your darshan. So beta, you see me on Zoom, you see me on Facebook, darshan on Facebook. Yes, Gurudev, but digital. I want to serve you in America. I want to serve you in America. So I will come in India. I will come to India in 1 or 2 months. Then you can serve me in India. No, Gurudev, I want to serve you in America. This is special to serve my Gurudev in America. I'll get different bhav. This is called arop to impose. It's your desire to come to America. It's your desire to fly in American plane. It's your desire to shop with your family, to swim, and to go here and there, but you just imposed Gurudev in between. And you said this is Nitya Dharma. We are learning so many points here. These are not Nitya Dharma, they are Naimitic Dharma. You cannot say this is Bhakti. This is not Bhakti. I'll come to America with my family members to see America. At least you will spend $5,000, means 5-6 lakhs Indian rupees. Flight, hotel, taxi, eating, drinking, shopping, expenditure. Gurudev, I did all this for you to take your darshan. For your service, I did so much expenditure. So Gurudev would say, "You are mad. You're spending $5,000. You could have given that for the temple, which Gurudev wants." Means you could have served in the temple, which Gurudev wants. What Gurudev says, that is Nitya Dharam. But you are just following your mind. With your mind, you're just thinking what is Nitya Dharma. Here, sometimes this is seen. Pure devotees, even Gurudev, what he does, even they do a Shraddh ceremony. So then we get confused. Gurudev is saying this is Naimatik Dharma. Don't get trapped in this. Just do some for formality. But Gurudev did Shraddh for his father. Why he did so? So here we need to understand Lok Siksha, Lok Siksha and Lok Sangrah, that I am doing this Shraddh with this procedure, then people ordinary people, public would also learn that in reality, how do I do Shraddh? How do we do Shraddh ceremony? People will learn from me. This is called Lok Shiksha. Lok means public. Shiksha means teaching, instruction. And when they will learn, they will teach, tell others. And they will ask, who told you this procedure? They will tell me, okay, Nair Maharaj told me this procedure. And then they will they will bring more people. Lok Sangre. Okay, where does Gurudev lives? Radha Madhav Gaudiya Math, Faridabad. And then what will happen? So many people came. On Ekadashi, 200 people came. This is called Lok Sangre, means people came. And then they took darshan of Radha Madhav. Those people, new devotees who came, new people. They performed art, they saw Aarti, and they would hear Harikatha from Madhav Priya Prabhuji. And when they would hear Harikatha, because his Harikatha is very, very good, nice, very, very straightforward. What is good, what is bad, no mixture. Very clear Harikatha by Madhav Priya Prabhuji. So, by hearing such Harikatha, those people who came for the first time to Radha Madhav Gaudiya Math, they would think, for 25 years of my life, what I was thinking bhakti, that was not bhakti. This Prabhuji's point is so valid, and this is the Vani of Shastra. I just wasted my life for 25 years. So, from then they will come on the right track. So all this credit will go to who? That Gurudev, that advanced devotee who showed to the public, who showed off that I am doing Shraddh. They had no interest in doing Shraddh ceremony. They just set an example for the society. There are many such other reasons, such scenes and such ceremonies where for Lok Siksha, for teaching to ordinary people, or to teach or to bring new people in bhakti, to do a big task. For them it's just a formality. They are not attached to such activity, they are not attached to performing shraddh, but to teach to the public, to ordinary people in society. They are doing it out of, they have no faith in doing shraddh ceremony. They have no shraddha, no such faith in ashraddha, without any faith, without any attachment. But we mad people, we think, oh, Prabhuji did this. He performed Shraddh ceremony for his father. So I should also do. I should also do. Prabhuji did so, Gurudev did so, Maharaj did so, so I should also follow them. For them, it's Naimatik Dharma, and we took that as Nitya Dharma. And um, we just did not get the right point. A doctor said to a Gurudev, to an advanced devotee, okay, you're always traveling, you eat here, you eat there, at least for 3 months. You eat fruits, you eat salad, and you drink water, and you will be healthy. So um, he started following this. Okay, if my body is healthy, then I will be better. Now Gurudev is 60, 70 years old. He started eating fruits and salads, and the followers of Gurudev, oh, Gurudev is eating fruits and salads. That's why look at his face. His face is shining now. I also want shining glow on my face. So from tomorrow also I will eat fruits and salad. Why I would eat fruits and salad? To get grace on my face. Shine. The people would say, oh Prabhu, you're looking so nice, so beautiful. This is called Naimatik Dharma. You're imitating your Gurudev. Gurudev is doing it because of some situation, paristhiti. So Do not use your brain over there, and just analyze, am I trapped in namatic dharma or am I really doing nitya dharma? Prabhuji, or any Prabhuji, they uh, they went for the Shraddh ceremony of their father or mother to teach something. And if we go, when we go, we cannot be compared to them. Our going is different. They are doing out of a Shraddha, and we will do it because of Shraddha. So there is difference. They have no Shraddha and we have Shraddha. This is Badhak. So there are two types of coverings in Bhakti. One is which is Nitya Dharam, Shravan Kirtan. If I do not do, I'll get sins. Out of fear, if you do any limb of Bhakti, that is covering Bhakti. Second is Nitya Naimatik Dharma. Naimatik Dharma is temporary. If I do Naimatik Dharma, I'll get Bhakti. This is also one kind of covering. So what is actually Bhakti? Krishna Anushilanam is only Bhakti. Anukulina Krishna Anushilanam is actually real Bhakti. To clear this point, Krishna Anushilanam words are used here in this definition because Srimad Bhagavatam, Narad, in Bhakti Shastras basically uh, only the word Bhakti is used for Bhagwan. In bottom line is uh, okay, so this is like the conclusion. Bottom line means this is the final conclusion. In this verse, the last line of the verse, Anukulina Krishna. So the last line of this verse is the word bhakti is only used for Krishna and Vishnu Tattva, not for anybody else. Bhakti. The word bhakti, saransh, saransh, summary, saransh, bottom line. Saransh is the word bhakti is only used when we are speaking about Bhagwan. For brothers, for relatives, for ancestors. If we do something, that is not bhakti. That is not bhakti. This is the bottom line. Now, Bhagwan means what? Bhagwan, Guru, and Vaishnavas. All these together are one Vastu. All these together. For them, whatever we do, that's Nitya Dharma. For Bhagwan, Vaishnavas, and Guru. And for material person, poor people, beggars, if we do something, this is not bhakti. Feeding the ants, feeding the birds, feeding the dogs, this is naimatic dharma, temporary dharma. Giving water to the sun. Because in India, people do this actually. They offer water to the sun. This is also naimatic dharma. So many such fasts which Matajis keep, they are naimatic dharma. They are not nitya dharma. Many such worships of demigods. So if you, me, are dikshit, initiated in Gaudiya Sampradaya, if we do all this, then it's a loss in our bhakti. Let material people do because they are not gaining anything, so they are not losing anything. They'll gain something because they are at least doing something. So for them, it's okay. If my son does not listen to me, okay, at least he listens to me to some extent. So let's not disturb to material people that they are at least doing something. So let them do whatever they are doing. But we need to be careful. We will not follow any altu faltu means useless dharmas. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaran. You do the Archana of Bhagwan, you worship Krishna, you serve Vaishnavas, you serve Gurudev, you clean the temple. All these actions, activities, they are direct bhakti, without any doubt. Where Bhagwan is in the center, in that karma and gyan, where Bhagwan is center. This is clear. Anya abhilashita shunyam ज्ञान कर्माद्यनावृतम अनुकूलिना कृष्णानुशीलिनम भक्ति उत्तमा. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. So this verse ended here today. Tomorrow we will discuss next verse. Tomorrow is Sunday, sorry. Tomorrow is Updeshamrit. If time is not clashing, we will have class tomorrow. You will get the dharma. You will get the message in the group. If you do not get the message, then we will connect on Monday. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Hare Krishna.